Just got this off eBay. Oh. Yes. Isn't that something? All right. This is the 1967 Chargers. And this was the set that they sold through Dodge dealers. A little bit of traffic builder. Come in and buy a Dodge Charger. We'll give you the race car set for free. Made exclusively for Dodge Division by Eldon Industries, Incorporated, Hawthorne, California. Some really cool drawn box art here that I love. Photo. You know who that is. If you don't, look them up. Yeah. With two 1967 Dodge Chargers. With easy hookup. We're going to check and see what that is. All right. Move the set around. We see another photo there. Tinted photo here. And everything that the set includes. Very cool. This is all happening live. I just got this set a few hours ago. So I'm quite excited. Let's open the box up. Turns out there's nothing in it but cardboard. Big laughs! Okay, let's open this thing up and see what we got. Now, I have not opened it yet. So if there's a snake in here, you'll be the second to know. Okay, so first look here. The typical later Eldon documentation. This started to be past the date that they did the manuals, and they got this kind of smaller, almost pamphlet-like sort of thing about where to get warranty work. I always like looking up these Eldon authorized service stations and try to see if any of them are still in business after all these years. It's fascinating and a little depressing. You can complete this registration card and get into the Eldon International Road Race Club, El Segundo Boulevard, where my dad went and got our original set, our Selectronic Grand Prix set, when he worked right down the street at National Cash Register, NCR, not on cash registers, but their Century computer systems. And here is more or less the instructions. Here is your layout and kind of how to hook things up. Very, very, very basic pamphlet. Shows you how to put things together. But nothing like that enormous book that had instructions for every set. I realized that they couldn't continue on with that because all the sets had changed and they need to be flexible. So the first thing off the top is we have the notoriously flaky, yet I love them, lap counters. That sound takes me back to being a little kid. Oh boy. Now, these came in a lot of different flavors. Our original one was a red insert on one side and a blue insert on the other. This style has a yellow on one side and a white on the other, the entire outside dial. I at one time thought this was tinted yellow, but no, I mean that, I don't know why I thought that. It's just a yellow coloring in the grid. I don't know why they changed that, but it is what it is. Okay, next thing is, here are the cars that we'll get at in a moment. But here is the power pack, and let's see. Okay, this power pack isn't as bad. This is the 1.5 amp power pack, which is better than those really lousy 0.8 amp power packs that I don't even use. We'll check and see if this is if this will work. If not, I've got plenty of 2 amp power packs, transformers sitting around. They've got your speedometer readouts in kind of a gold, which is cool. I always love these hand controllers, kind of Star Trek style. They talk about quick connector but I mean these are the style on my old Selectronic. I don't think there was anything new there, but we'll see. Now we have a white charger here and the red charger here. Let's see what condition these are in. Well, this first one, what's nice is that both the back and the front grills are there. A little dirty on the inside, no big. These have been run, and there's some dust here. Yeah. I don't know where the heck that dust is coming from. There's dust right here. Believe me, when I'm done with this, you won't know. Unfortunately, this is cheesy. I wish they had told me that. I can fix this, but both posts are broken off on the car. Irritating. Temperature rising. Irritating. I might have some tires for this. Smilin' Ray went out of business, but or retired. But I don't know. These may not be completely dried out. We may be able to run these. I doubt it though. But I think the tires I got from my Charger and Cornet, I think I still have some extra ones. I think those are about the same hub size. We'll see. But the motor spins really nicely. The brushes are horrible, but the spades are intact. Oh, does this have the spades or that other funky arrangement? Oh, it has that weird solder clip style, which is probably better. Cool. Well, we know what to do with that. Okay. Let's see if I'm going to keep this all together, because there's another chunk of the post right here. I'm going to have to carefully epoxy that back, see what happens. If not, I'll just put it on with a rubber band. Let's see if this is any better. This is the white one. I don't understand how people break off all their posts. I have all these cars, and even when I was a kid, a post never broke off. What do the people torque the screws down or stick oversized screws in and bust them off? I don't know. I don't know how you break all the studs off all the time. Or posts. No, this is good. I don't like this. I think the front's gone. The rear is there. The rear is there and solid. Oh no! The front's there. I can see it. It's broken. It's broken. See it in there? But it's attached to the screw, so that should be an easier fix. Yeah, we'll fix both of these things. The bodies are nice. This one's missing its back bumper, which pisses me off because they didn't say that. God, I hate it when they don't say that. But the good news is, there's a guy, I'm trying to remember if it was EJ Hobbies or not. There's a guy online that I believe has molded the rears. We will get a call off to that individual and get that right away. These cars are going to run, and they're going to run quickly. There's fence posts as well as the trestles of various sizes. I don't know if everything's there, but it looks like it is. Here's the track, which is the style with the dashed lane line in it. So we got curves, we got a set of, there's no fancy banks or anything, and this is just like a double, it's just like a double eight, like a double figure eight, so this needs some definite cleaning. You've seen my videos. If not, watch them. We'll clean that right up. It's got a little bit of light corrosion. So all in all, a pretty nice set for the age, but we're gonna get these cars repaired, see if they work, and then we're gonna party. Okay, I can hear a hum from the power pack I just plugged in. Let's see if these engines turn. Eh? Oh, these are so scaled up and filthy. This works deliciously. Nice and quiet too. This is not working. Look what I happen to have. Hi. Beautiful. Oh, well, that wire came right off the copper. So we'll put him back on there, if we can. There it is, going along. These wires have all become loose. One fell off here. They all need to be resoldered. This car was kind of beat on a little bit. Well, I don't know. It's not scratched up at all. Just age, I guess. The wire can be saved. I'm just going to solder things up the right way. But listen, it spins really nice. Nice and clean and quiet. Yeah, no, it's not going to. I'm going to have to replace the tires. That's okay. So, the good news is the motors work. Tires need replacement, which is understandable. All we're going to need to do is do some soldering, some post repair, then set up the track in the 88. Or it should be maybe a 888. No, triple loop, double, super, whatever loop. I don't know. Double loop, triple loop, crazy loop. I wish one end of this had been kind of a Monza curve. Those cheap Eldon bastards. You should have just put more thought into this set. No, I really like this set. This is really cool. I've been wanting one of these for a long time. And I love that I have the 3-in-1 set, which is the Charger, the Coronet, and the pickup truck, and it's based on the old Daredevil folks. And I think the guy's name was Cockman or something. Cockman! And then this one was one of the dealer sets. So it's pretty cool. So the next segment of the video will be in the workshop. The workshop! Alright, we're back in the workshop for a closer look at everything here. First of all, you can see the two posts, the two mounting posts that are broken off. Probably because the person turned the screws too tight, snapped the posts off. I have one other little piece that may go onto the post. I'm going to have to play around with them and see where it fits. Hopefully there's not much more that has been shattered away. I'm just going to try regular epoxy. Hopefully that'll work. A few other things here. As I mentioned previously, this wire broke off from its mount here. Now, to give you an idea of how this works, is this generation of cars, okay, instead of having the spades on the end of the wires, like the earlier cars, and then pressure fitting in to the shoe, along with a pressure fitting in the shoe and the brush, this has these little copper hold downs that the wire is actually soldered onto. And this one broke off, and this one is almost going to break off. I'm going to reinforce that. So the wire loops around this little hold down right here, and then is soldered on right here, and you can see that that's come off. So how these wires go on here is this little piece of copper snaps, and by snapping around here it holds down the brush. Then the wires are factory soldered onto these copper strips. Not a very good system, because as this moves with the car turning constantly, all the wear is on that solder joint, and it's going to snap off sooner or later. So the spade was definitely a better way to go. I don't know why they went to this methodology. We got a lot of dirt and corrosion here. Okay, we're going to try to gently unscrew these posts, fit them into the car body, and see if we can epoxy them on. Aside from the post problem, the cars are in really good shape. I'm going to do some plastic cleaning on them. They look like there's a little bit of a shine where the posts broke, as if maybe they were epoxied before. I know there's a lot of videos about replacing posts and creating new ones. You know, getting a round piece of plastic, cutting off what's left of here, gluing the new piece on that has a pre-drilled hole in it, what have you. We may have to go to that, I don't know. But we're going to clean this up. This is a lot of dirt and junk in it. We're going to clean these up and glue it back together, solder this up, and then work on the posts. This is what you call your basic blocking and tackling. Shut up. Now, these Chargers are kind of interesting because they have the body shell, then they have an inner plate right here that's glued in and has you can see the peg of the driver's head coming right through here. Kind of interesting. And here are the posts. So let's take off the rear post here and see how it fits or doesn't fit on the rear. Yeah, it was way too tight. Way too tight on that. There's no reason for it to be that tight. All you need to do... Ah, crap. It broke. This is totally brittle. Yeah, this post had been glued together before, and it just came apart. You can see the little pieces. I wasn't even putting any pressure on it with the pliers, and it just, this has been glued together before. A half-ass repair. We might have to start on scratch on this car. Just touching the front one to remove it. This is just, this is like powder. I mean, look, it's just, well, that's a disappointment. Well, I think it's a combination of bad repairs and age, and maybe Eldon cheaped out on the plastic at this point. But I can't even get this. No matter how gentle I am. Oh, this, you know, I know what? It looks like they glued. This isn't pressure fit. This looks like it was glued into the chassis. Yeah, I'm not. That is not gonna. Oh boy. Well, that's didn't come out at all like I thought it would. To get the last of the standoff out, I had to screw the screw in from the top and then pull it out. Okay, we're carefully going to remove the back screw. And the front, there's the peg or the post on the front. Let's see if we can very gently get this one unscrewed. That post is jammed so tightly in there. Oh, cripe, it's coming apart too. Yeah, they over-tightened them so hard that they jammed them tight in there and probably cracked them in the process. So when you remove them, they're already cracked. So this one is missing parts there that are going to make it not completely, won't mate completely well here. Just not enough material. I mean, there's so much missing. As soon as you drive a screw in there, it would bust. So we're going to have to do some post work on there on both these cars. But in the meantime, let's get them at least running, and then we know that the rest of it is purely we're getting the post to go. A quick reference in the little pamphlet they gave you on replacing the brushes shows this rather unusual arrangement. At least it's unusual for me. Where here's the copper piece we're talking about here. Here's where the wire is soldered in the bend in the back, okay, and then it swivels here, okay. Well, actually, that's the front, okay, and then it swivels around on the peg right here, and pressure fits this copper strip on top of the brush, which is right here, okay. It appears, and I hope this is not the case, that this anal orifice attempted to put some epoxy down here to get this to hold better. I don't know. We're going to see. Okay, now we've got
the wire soldered back on the motor here, and the wire soldered back on this brush hole down here. Now let's put the brushes in, some new brush material in place and see what we've got going on here. Okay, so I got this rebrushed and refitted, okay, with these copper strips. The previous idiot owner on the red side here, okay, just jammed this wire that's supposed to be soldered on the tip. I just resoldered it. Just jammed it underneath the copper and then glued, epoxied the copper strip down. Here is the leftover epoxy. Put it on underneath and turn it around, and boom, we are in business. Now before I shut down my solder station, because I think the charger, the white charger, needs some stuff, let's see if this works now. Here we go. Okay, now let's have a discussion about tires. About Tires has been brought to you by About Tires. About Tires. If you have a question about tires, call us at About Tires. About Tires! It's about time for About Tires. About Tires! Okay, so I had some of Smile and Ray's tires left. And so what I did is, let's take this off. And see, this has got the kind of the smaller hub. Anyway, if you measure here, you find this 0.37, and here in this package from Smiling Rays, it says it fits a 1/4 inch wide Eldon wheels. Okay, well, we measure it this way. If I get 0.25, yeah, 1/4 inch. So if I compare the old one to the new one here, you'll see that the old one is just a little bit wider. But the next step wider that I have also from Ray's is a little bit too wide. So now weirdly, when I compare it to the front, it looks the same. But I'm going to put this on here. And it looks like it might be a slightly smaller diameter than the other ones. I don't know. It's close, so I'm going to go with it just for giggles. So now, if I'm to oh my God, yeah. Yeah, they grip. You can see it gripping there. It's a lousy little test, but it shows that the tires are ready to go. Now, let's talk about, since Smiling Ray's not around anymore, what are these tires that I'm using as replacements? Well, they were his old EHSN tires, but for you looking at other tires online, 7/8 outside diameter, 3/8 inside diameter fits a 1/4 inch wide Eldon tire, or Eldon wheel, I should say. So there you have it. So we've got this chassis completely cleaned. The only thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of oil on it. Now I use oil specifically for plastic gears. You can get it at your RC, wherever you get like RC cars, stuff like that. And what I like to do is this motor was not squealing at all. Neither of them were. You saw it when I was first getting stuff out of the box and testing it. See, what you want in your slot cars is you want a nice sound. You want a nice sound that is not grindy or chirpy. So what I like to do is put a touch right ahead of the pinion where it goes into the motor. Preferably don't do it that way. A touch at each axle, a touch between the pinion and the gear, front axle, and where the pin comes out the other side of the motor. You don't have to use a little, just like a tiny drop. So this chassis is really nice shape now. If I can get the other, the post fixed for the body, I'll be really happy. Nice new brushes on the car. Nice new brushes on the car. The whole car cleaned, oiled, and the wiring taken care of. Now let's take a look at the chassis for the white one. Although who knows if it was the original white one? It could have been swapped! You see the brushes are in lousy shape here. The green wire is off. The wires to the motor all look intact. So we've got one solder to do and replace the brushes. So as I mentioned on the white Charger in the shoe, the guy, there was one of these copper hold downs, okay, and the other one was gone, and the guy just had a piece of wire holding the brush and the wire to it on, real rinky-dink. So what I did is I got some good old-fashioned brass strip here, a little too wide. I ground it down from a quarter to about 1/8. And then I made myself a hold down. I bent it in the shape of the one I already had. And here it is in shape with the brush attached. Now what I'm going to do next is solder the leads on the top of this and the top of the brass one, put the brass one or the original one back in with the brush, and go from there. And now here's how it looks: soldered on, clipped on, new brushes. There we go, nice and quiet too. So While I am working on refurbishing the two Dodge Chargers, I decided that in the playroom, I would start working out the kinks in the track and repair other parts associated with the set. So the first thing I did was make a super ridiculous short little oval layout here, just to basically test out the track controllers and the condition of the track, clean the track, and prep it so it's ready for the cars once they're done. To do so, I pulled out my old Spiegel Power 8 road race set. And this is the equivalent of the manual they gave by this stage of the game. I put this in about 1966, 1967. For Spiegel, JCPenney, and Sears, they made special sets. The Sears had different kind of packaging, at least the model that I have. That is the Grand Prix Electronic set version under Sears. The JCPenney's had some specific packaging. The Spiegel, I think, came in a plain box, I believe, because I've seen other Spiegel sets for sale, and they came in a plain brown Spiegel shipping box. That's probably why I don't have the box for this, and I keep it in a plastic box of my own choosing. Thank you. They changed from the big manuals to these smaller set-specific pamphlets, and there you go. There. So what was interesting about this set is the cars that it came with. Okay, of course, the first thing that I pulled out to test with is my trusty dune buggy out of the dune buggy set. Here are the 4 cars that the Spiegel Power 8 Road Race set, number 5845, came with. It has 2 chassis and 4 shells. And what's interesting is, right here is a Porsche shell. Here is the Eldon shell on a chassis. And then they gave you 2 Ferrari shells of different colors. I thought that was pretty neat. So we've plugged in the transformer. And I'll give you a spoiler. I already did the test. Everything works. I'm going to pretend like I didn't, though. These I got a heavy play with, and this is when I use the Ninco replacement brushes, which are okay in a pinch, but they're a little too thin and a little too flimsy, but, you know, what the hell. I've already activated the power pack for your pleasure. And I think these brushes are a bit dirty. Yeah, get a little more speed out of this car if I can change those brushes out. But they do their job. White car is a little faster. Hard to tell because I'm trying to keep it from going off the track. There's no fences, and this track is basically one big curve. And what's interesting is I did a really tight job on this one, as you saw in the other video. Plus it has the newer style motor. This thing is definitely quicker than all of them. And then here's the other lane. I didn't have to do a lot of cleanup on the track. A little bit of sandpaper, a little bit of refitting it. This worked fine. So we know that the track is not in horrible condition. Of course, we can't speak for all the parts. What I'm going to do now is turn this into the full layout for the Charger set. Set it up again with these cars, and get the track all working so when the cars are finally done, their posts are repaired and whatnot, I can just drop the cars in there and have fun with them. Okay, so that's the next step. Another thing I want to show you, camera off, camera off the tripod, please. Camera's released. Camera's released and it's floating around. It's released from its tripod tether. It's floating around. It's free and it's directed by where my mind tells it to go. Not really. But anyway, I wanted to do a complete inventory on all the supports and everything. Here I've got all the fencing sorted out.
Here are the ones that have little broken pieces. The Eldon, as anybody that's played around with Eldon knows, is these little parts right here, either the top pin here or these bottom ones, just love to break off. They love to break off. They do. I just realized I have to be completely at the tall end of my lens to get the auto macro to work. Just realized that just now after all this time. I never really thought too much about it. Okay, so anyway, I've kind of sorted those. As you can see, this one's broken off. You can still use these things because you use 3 or 4 of the clips for it. But I do have some of the clips right there, which literally I'm going to try to glue back on just for the fun of it. There are all the supports in different elevations. That's a start-stop. Nothing has ever been decaled on this. Not the cars, not the flags, the flag posts, the start and stop labels that go on that piece right there. But we're going to put this all together and just see how it goes. There's the lap counter too, which probably doesn't work right. Because none of them do! Make sure that piece is snapped together securely. I always like to give a light cleansing. And then with very, very fine sandpaper or very fine emery board, just lightly hit the rails. Take off any oxidized materials, filth, pieces of broken toys, foodstuffs, what have you. Now, don't expect to polish them up until they're glistening new. That doesn't really matter. Just give them a good once-over start. And for more details, you can see my in-depth track cleaning process on other videos. Now it's time for the bridge supports. Each one is labeled. This one's number 4. It's the shortest one. Every bridge support has a tall end and a short end. This is the smallest one. Here's a number 1. And this is dependent on how the track's curved. I had to play around with the track, especially around this curve. A lot of cleaning, adjusting the pins. A few things were bent. Got it pretty well dialed in. The rest of the track cleaned up pretty good for an old set. One thing I did do is I changed the brushes out on both cars. They were pretty ratty. And one thing I want to draw your attention to here is when you put in these brushes, and these of course have the, I really hate these, the clip-on copper solder-on lead soldered on type setup that they had. I like the old spades that dropped in there, even though the spades could break off. You could resolder them back on. But anyway, what you want to do is you want to push down, once you get these installed, push down where
the brush bends around the shoe here, okay, to keep the brush from being too flipped out, okay, because that lifts the front end of your car up a little bit and also makes you lose contact. And also turn up the bristles just a little bit on the ends of your brushes. When I say turn them up, turn them out towards you as you hold the car, and let that be where they rest on the rails. So to give you an idea of what a 6-volt car should look like when you got the track in tune, you got the cars tuned, and you got the brushes set, it's something like this. This is how fast they should move. And if you push it, they should slide off. If you go into a curve. If you go in the curve full throttle, it's not dialed in right. Now tires and type of tires will make a bit of a difference. But a little bit of fishtailing is normal and fun. But this is how your 6-volt. Now the cars may be a little slower if you're using a low amp transformer when both cars are going, but it should be around something like this. Look how smooth and fun that is. Isn't that something? That's the little Lotus. And now let's put one of the Ferraris on the track, shall we? I think one tire may be a little out of round on this. Where did that character go? See, I went in that curve too fast and lost the slot. That's how it should be. Ooh, I came close to that edge there. If there hadn't been a railing there, I got into the cliff. Whoa. It is fun to fishtail. These particular models, the shoe spins all the way around. On other ones, not so much. Look at that. And that's just something. That's how your Eldon should be running, folks. Now you may not hear the lap counter click at all. That's because I don't have a peg in either one of these cars. Look at that. Isn't that something? Smooth. Sometimes you can fishtail around, and if you're not too all the way around, you can kind of get it back. Watch. Isn't that something? I'll take down a little bit of sugar for my coffee. I don't even know what that means. Look at that. I could just do this all day. So hey, I'm not pushing these cars at all because I can't concentrate on both of them at once. Because I'm kind of a goof. Hello. There we go. I'm gonna stick my tongue in there. I love these controllers. Always reminded me a little bit of like Star Trek sort of stuff, you know? Spin around again. When you're tuning an old set like this, the best advice I can give you is just have patience. Walk away with it for a while. You'll have it all dialed in, then all of a sudden one lane won't be as good as the other one. And you have to play around and play around and play around and play around. You can also use your car as a portable track tester. Put the throttle on full and put your car by hand, touch it down on track, and keep moving it forward until you hear the revs slow down. And right around that junction should be the problem. you cannot blame the track. A lot of people say this is shitty track. It's really not. This stuff's 60 years old. That's just as smooth as a new kitten's fur. Is a new kitten's fur smooth? I know their tongue is surprisingly scratchy. Now, you may wonder why I know that, and I'm not going to tell you. And then, of course, make sure your wheels don't bind. Make sure your tires aren't spinning on your rims. Actually, both of these do spin a little on their rims. You can put a little touch of glue on there. People use different things. I just usually let it go. You might get a little more speed. And like, for example, like if you full throttle in the startup, you'll see it hesitate a little bit. That's how you know your tires are spinning. See that a little bit? See that? A little bit of hesitation there, a little bit of spin. I don't know if I can get out of this. No. There's a recovery right there. Yeah, that inside lane around that curve, that will get you. Now, the dune buggies and the newer silver gold motors, I think, are a little faster. Plus, these dune buggies are really light. Shorter wheelbase. I mean, these things really move. Plus, I think the tires on these fit better. I think the tires on these fit better too. Yeah, so you go right off the track with that easy. So we're back in the shop, and we're dealing with the situation at hand with the Charger bodies here. And that is that the white Charger has one good post, the other post broken off, and the red Charger has both posts broken off. So I bought out the shop in terms of rods and tubes to fix this. And what I decided to do was make a new standoff. And this one has just dried, and I'm going to test it. I don't know if it's going to work. But finally, the combination I ended up with was getting a 5/16 inch tube. And a lot of this styrene tube and stuff like that, you can get it like your hobby store, the train store, whatever. And then I found what would slip into it is a 1/4 inch post, which I got from, of all places, Walmart. Nobody seemed to have 1/4 inch actual posts. And that is the closest thing that will go inside that I could find that would go inside this, even though it's a little loose. It's not firm in there, but the idea was to have a tube end that would go over an existing stumpy. See how this is broken off? It's usually broken off when there's a stump. What I wanted to do was take advantage of the inherent strength of having a stump there, glue something hollow on that, and then make something that could be drilled out, glued into that extension. So that's what I basically did here on the Charger. And I'll show you that these posts a lot of time have a little divot that sticks out, if you can see there at the bottom. So I cut very carefully with a knife a little area there that would accept that groove, and that adds some more stability to it. And then I glued this post inside there that I pre-drilled with a screw hole. And then I put glue in, I dripped glue down around the seam between these two, because this is still a little bigger than this. And so I got the gel type super glue And I don't know if I got enough in there to make it so that this red part would not twist once I put the screw in. I pre-drilled the screw hole. I bought this nifty set and I started it just manually by hand with a 2mm and then moved to the 2.5mm. These are just little hand turn screws, but I didn't want to try to use an electric drill on this and have it skip all over the place. I wanted better control. So I pre-punched a little hole in it and then I drilled it and then I cut off the length I needed. And I just measured it to make sure that it was the right height and that you know, the top, so the top didn't sit too high. But I'm going to screw. I also wanted to use the original Eldon screws. I don't know why I had to have it that way, but I figured that, you know, if we're using the original one back here and then you have another different kind of screw up here, I didn't want that. So now I'm going to screw on the chassis and see what happens. I have a feeling that the red part's not on there tight enough and it's going to twist when I put the screw. But I generally don't put a lot of tension on the chassis screws. I firm them just enough so that you don't stress out the posts. I've never broken a post on all the Eldon cars I've had. I've only received them broken. So I know you guys out there probably have better ways to do this than me, but this is the process that I wanted to follow, and let's see if it works. Also, as a note of interest, the red tube at a 1/4 inch fits right into the indentation of the screw hole right there. Perfect. Looks like it's working good. Working good. Post repair successful. Now we have to do the dual post repair on the red Charger. There it is. Going just fine. New body posts. Cleaned up wiring, new brushes, new tires, look at it go.
back on the track and running fast. You knew I'd fix it. You knew it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made the video. They don't tell you that one, do they?